Welcome back. I hope that reflection of the story of the rich man was powerful for you. It's one of the more well-known stories in the Bible, and sometimes it helps to just be an observer of that. Maybe most of the time we're observers when we hear that story, and sometimes we're the rich man and we feel lost. I don't know what it would be like to be Jesus, to tell someone to sell all the possessions. But in any case, I hope your reflection was meaningful for you for that story. So now we're going to move on to Jericho, which is just at the south end of the Jordan River before it meets the Salt Sea or the Dead Sea on this map. And so Jesus has probably been walking for a few days. He's getting pretty near Jerusalem. It's another probably a day's walk for him because Jerusalem is up high, so there's a hill climb about to happen. But he's in Jericho, and I imagine in this story that the crowds are starting to know that he's around. And so in the story at Jericho, which looks a little bit like this, maybe, you see this, he encounters a blind man. And, you hear in stories in the Bible that blind men sort of tended to hang out at healing sites, maybe wells for healing where they could bathe. And so imagine maybe this is the place where Jesus encounters this blind man. And the blind man maybe comes here every day, and he sees Jesus walk by. So here's the story. The healing of blind Bartimaeus. They came to Jericho. As he and his disciples and a large crowd were leaving Jericho, Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting by the roadside. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout out and say, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." Many sternly ordered him to be quiet, but he cried out even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stood still and said, "Call him here." And they called the blind man, saying to him, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. Then Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Immediately he regained his sight and followed him on the way. So you know this story, but again, when you imagine yourself in the story, there's a lot going on. There's some shouting. There are people telling the beggar to be quiet. He sprang up. So you can imagine Jesus calls him and he gets up. Maybe you've seen people like this on the streets, beggars who are a little bit intimidating, but Jesus is not intimidated. And the disciples are maybe a little reluctant to have every strange person encounter Jesus, but Jesus is not afraid of that. And Jesus says something in this story, maybe pay attention when you're in the story, that he says a lot. He says, your faith has made you well. Not I can make you well or I made you well, but your faith has made you well. So pay attention to that. So again, imagine yourself in this story, maybe at the well picture that I showed you, and imagine who you are in this story. Maybe you're the beggar, maybe you're an observer, maybe you're one of the disciples trying to protect Jesus. Just let yourself go anywhere you want to go in the story. And the reflection question for this story is this. What is in your heart as you immersed yourself in this story? So what's going on in your heart as you hear the story of this poor blind man? What would it mean if you shouted out to Jesus, "Have mercy on me"? So during Lent, What would it be like for you to shout out to Jesus, Jesus, have mercy on me? What would you mean by that? What's going on in your life that you might want to hear the answer to that? Okay, so stay in Jericho, stay with this story. We'll see you for the final site on our journey in Bethany and Bethphage, and reflect a little bit on the end of this journey.